swear!
On to the next one. Is everybody ready to get back in the game? Need a break? No? Okay, the next one we're going to do is just a play on one of the most popular flies on the planet. Who knows how to tie a woolly bugger? Don't raise your hand, Best. No. He ties peacock buggers that are the best. He just told me I'm number one. All right. So this is called the complex twist bugger. You guys seen this fly on our site? Yes, no, maybe? Well, there isn't anything complex about it. This is the first intelligent thing you've said all day. No, so it's called a complex twist bugger, and really there isn't anything complex about it. One guy in a shop in Utah, he's like, I don't see that, you know, it's really not that hard of a fly. I'm like, well, way to go, because you nailed it, because it's not complex. The complex thing about it is we're going to twist up three materials all together, which mean, you know, complex means it's not just one material, I guess. But I'll explain that more when we get to that part. We're using that same Daiichi 2461 size 2. And we have a tungsten bead or tungsten cone on it. And usually I have a bunch of lead wire that I shove up under this cone to make it behave, but Curtis didn't bring any, so it wasn't me. So we're going to do a black-red variation on this one too, because it just looks way too cool to do any other color. Even though the brown and black one is probably my most effective color. So see this extra marabou that we had left over from that Cheech leech? I always save these, and I'm just going to pull those fibers off of it. And this complex twist bugger is going to have a tail about the size of the shank of the hook. So we're going to tie in some red, tie in some black, probably more black than red. More DNA. So a pretty bushy tail. And then I'm just going to take all this stuff and wrap it down on the shank. Okay, if I were tying a woolly bugger, I would just tie in some chenille and some hackle. But this one uses the same stuff, so tie in chenille and hackle. But the chenille I'm using is this Senyo Aquaveil that we used for the last one. So I'll tie in a clump of that. And now the cool thing about Nature's Spirit is that when you buy claret colored schlappen, claret colored marabou, claret colored dubbing, they dye it all identical, so it all matches. So, and a lot of guys will order this and they'll see these feathers that are kind of jacked up like this, and they'll say, well, this is junk. But really, it's just the dye process. As soon as this gets on the hook, it just, you know, blows up. It's really good stuff. So I'm going to pick one of these claret ones, and not that one. Curtis picked me the worst pack of schluck. No, just kidding.
I kind of did. Joke's on you.
Yeah. So the idea here is I'm going to tie these pieces of schlappen in by the tip. So you notice I'm using 2 feathers. It's not your normal saddle hackle, you know, rooster feather. These are full-on schlappen feathers that are really bushy. Okay, so this little tool right here will cost you about 50 cents to make. All it is an alligator clip on one side, soldered to an electrical clip with some shrink tubing. Lots of people don't want to build this, so if you don't want to build it, we will sell it to you for $5 on our site. And we even tell people how to make it, and it's amazing how many we sell. By the way, I still need to make some more, don't I?
Yes.
Slacker. So the idea here is I'm going to take all 3 of those materials and I'm going to clip them here. Then I'm going to take my fancy twister, I'm going to stick one of those hooks in there, and I'm going to twist those up. See how nasty that looks? Take your little comb and you brush it out. And you don't really need to twist it up a ton. So you see how that kind of really makes a cool effect. Take off your twister, and now we're just going to wrap that up the hook shank. And I just kind of wiggle it back and forth to try to not trap a ton of fibers, but if you do, it's not that big of a deal. Right up to where that bead is. Now this tungsten bead has a notch that's going to cause me problems, but not the end of the world. So I've got that tied off. What'd I do?
It's only got a 20-minute record time. So.
Oh, we've dealt with that before.
Yeah.
Oh, it overheated.
And we've dealt with that before.
Yes. Don't worry, Curtis doesn't tie quite as hot as me, so. Okay, so cool fly so far, right? It's pretty easy. It's a super durable bugger, but we're gonna add one more element to it with the mystical Bruiser Blend dubbing. You guys seen this before? Similar to Senyo dub, but we wanted something that was a little bit more fine and something that we could customize. This is actually Bruiser Blend Junior, so it's about 1 inch in length. And I think we have like over 30 colors right now. Okay. So I've got some black red Bruiser Blend Junior. Are we still black on that one? Should go like this. So I've kind of got it, you know, lined up, but kind of I've widened it out, because what I'm going to do is I'm just going to stick that around that cone, kind of tie that in. Oh, this is why I need the lead wire to keep it all in place. Fail number 1. Okay. Get it back to where it needs to be. There we go. So we got that all there. And now, just kind of jam it right in behind that cone. And then I'm going to brush that all out. So that collar almost has a muddler-like effect, so it pushes a lot of water. But anyway, if I'm getting ready for a trip and my streamer box is depleted like it normally is, this is usually the go-to fly that I pull out, because you can crank up a whole bunch of them in short order. But what I'm going to do now is, usually I've got some super glue with a really fine nozzle, and I just stick it right up under this this little notch under the bead. But I'll just do it with flow instead, so I'll let that all seep in, and hopefully that'll keep it tight. Whoever wins this fly might want to put some super glue down in there. Anyway, that's it. Any questions about that fly?
You got a special trick to get the bruiser blend to slide under the cone head?
Yes, I do. So when you're wrapping the schlappen and chenille forward, you want to cram as much as you can to get right up next to that cone head. Then I tried to do it with this bead, but because it wasn't set in place, it didn't quite work. But if you have the wire there and shoved up under the bead or the cone will stay there. It won't wiggle around like I was dealing with. So then when you have your bruiser blend over the cone, you wrap your first couple of thread wraps onto the cone, and then you just push it back, and you'll kind of feel it catch right where the edge of the cone is. And then when you cinch it tight, you pull forward. I mean, I've tied 4 or 5 of these too before, so. Any other questions? All right, it's a quiet group. Well, I'm going to take a break, and Curtis is up.
Bet.